Hello, I'm Sebastian Hampel, and I'm a high school graduate from New York City. Um, so for my project, I built a motion-controlled fighting game with a controller, of course. The key component of this project was that I was working with both software, which would be the game, and hardware, which was designing the controller. Basically, the makeup of my game is essentially, I'm going to share my screen for this. The basic idea behind this game is that you are like a fighter character, who has to protect this pillar, which is to the right side, which then which is then being attacked by multiple different enemies. The entire mechanic of this game is controlled by the motion of your hands and the joystick on my controller. So, as you had seen earlier in this clip, actually, or here, when I swing my hand from the right to the left, for example, it will swing the sword from the right to the left, and then the same thing in the other direction. To move around, I would use a joystick, and that is the basic mechanic of the game. Now, as you might see, there are some enemies currently at one of these pillars. So as I run over to them, I can just swing my controller, and it will then cause the player to swing a sword and knock down the enemies. So what brought me to this topic, this entire idea, was essentially the fact that since I've done some game design in the past, and I've done a lot of programming as well, I'd never really gotten much of a feel towards how the controller components of games actually can influence like how they partake in the game design process and also like software development process. So basically, that's why I decided then to make such a game and project. So how I did this basically was a three-step plan. Firstly, I designed this game. I created the basic mechanics of the game, such as moving your sword and standing, and also having the enemies come at you. The second step of my project was then to essentially build the controller, which is this one over here, or as you see in the video as well, which was an Arduino controller with a accelerometer, which basically tracks your movements and your motions and rotation, and a joystick, which I essentially used for making the character run around in certain directions. At the end, the third step of this plan was essentially to integrate the two parts, so that I take what I've received from my Arduino and integrate that into the game. Anyway, while I was doing this, there were multiple challenges which I had to overcome. First off, I had a lot of, since I'm like new with the entire hardware components of this, I had a lot of trouble, or I had some problems with hooking up wires, because since now this is every connection has to be exactly made, and all parts have to be well connected. If one part is somewhat loose, that can cause the entire remote to stop functioning properly. So the second thing that also challenged me was this new rendering system in Unity, which was called the HDRP, or High Definition Render Pipeline, which essentially made things look nicer and allowed me to create the game that we have here with some nicer visual effects. But the challenge here was that it has also newer systems like a shader graph to create certain colors and materials which move, and to generally work with this new system of lighting. Finally, when I kind of reflect upon this project, I gotta say I came into this project looking for a way to figure out a way to integrate hardware with software, and I think even though it was really hard to kind of do this, I really see the importance of it, and I'm really glad that I did this. So yeah, thank you. Any questions?